apart from the work that you're doing currently, you also have your own private investigation firm. Is that something you're involved in actively, or?
No, this was before. I mean, so before I took this position, this is a full-time position that I'm working now. So my private investigations work, this was previous before I took this particular assignment. So the past 5 years, I have not engaged in the private, but I still, of course, maintain relationships with most of my clients. When I had my private detective firm in Atlanta, most of my clients were in the entertainment industry, the music industry, and sports celebrities.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. So tell me about like your involvement with ISNA, Islamic Society for North America, how you got connected with them and what was your work there?
Yeah, very interesting how that came about. I became an employee or a contractor to ISNA back in 1980. When was it? I think it was 1989. I was living in Kansas City, Missouri at that point, and I've always been a member of ISNA, but I was a member of ISNA initially through the MSA, the Muslim Student Association. So when I was in the university, in the Muslim Student Association, they have chapters at most of the larger universities and colleges in the United States to accommodate and to support Muslim students. And so when I was at Central Missouri State, it's now the University of Central Missouri, I was a member of MSA. And so when I graduated from the university and got into my professional works, of course, I maintained a relationship with MSA and ISNA. And so in '89, the incoming president of ISNA, Sheikh Ahmed Zaki Hamid, who was a graduate of Al Azhar, and he has authored many books. I think he even authored a translation of Quran. Okay. So he was just a brilliant leader. He's an Egyptian brother. He came to Kansas City and gave a lecture. And after his lecture, he wanted to have a private audience with the African-American brothers that were in attendance. Because the majority of the membership of ISNA are primarily from the immigrant Muslim community. Not so much the indigenous Muslims, indigenous American Muslims. And so we were a minority at this particular meeting, and he wanted to have a private, meeting with us, which is about 5 of us. And during the course of that meeting, he was very curious about me. At that time, I was a former deputy sheriff, law enforcement, but I was also working as a state investigator for the state of Missouri. I was working for the Missouri Capital Defender's Office at that time, which is an agency that we represented people that were facing the death penalty.
Oh, wow.
That's the when I came into criminal defense work, that's what I started. Wow. I started my career representing people that are facing the death penalty. And so he was so taken with what I was doing and my position. He asked me, he said, at ISNA, the incoming president, there are a lot of issues that we have going on. And he said, and I can't figure out what's going on. I don't know if there's infiltration. There's a lot of things going on, and we could use you. And so he brought me in to be the director of security for ISNA. And one of the first things that he had me do was to go to their world headquarters, which was in Plainfield, Indiana, which is a suburb of Indianapolis, Indiana. And then just to basically observe the day-to-day operations of the organization. Wow. And I was observing all kind of weird and crazy things going on in that building. And then, I was responsible for the safety and security of all of our conventions and conferences.
Wow.
And I had that relationship with ISNA. I had that position, director of security of ISNA, for 12 years.
Wow. Because to me, it just strikes me as odd that an institution like ISNA, a religious institution, would need a security team, but would also be concerned about infiltration. And so it seems like quite a stressful Was that the time we were in, or is it still like that now?
It's always that time. I mean,
Wow.
we're talking about a time where they had this one journalist, this American journalist. His career was made on all these exposés he did about American Muslims, but he only highlighted the immigrant American Muslim community and not the African American community, because it's more interesting to try to package Muslims as, pretty much in America. When you ask the average person in America about Muslims, and this was true when I became a Muslim, and it's even true to today. When you ask an average American an opinion of a Muslim, two pictures pop in their head. It's either a picture of a person with a jalabiya and a kufiya, a turban, and an AK-47, or it's a picture of Louis Farrakhan with a bow tie.
Yeah.
And, so those are the two pictures that pops in their mind. So when I come in contact with just the common people, this is what I'm dealing with. They want to know, well, what kind of Muslim are you? I said, well, if you understand the definition of Muslim, I'm that. I'm one who submits himself to Allah. This is literally what a Muslim is under the culture or under the guidance of Islam from the Quran. This is what Muslims are. But you have to, for me as an African American, as a Black Muslim in America, when I introduce people, I have to do a disclaimer.
Yeah, exactly.
And that disclaimer starts with, I am not currently or have I ever been a member of the Nation of Islam. and then I have to go into greater detail to explain to them. And this is in fact my opinion, and is supported by the evidence, particularly with our dear brother Malcolm X, El Hajj Malik Shabazz. Yeah. He exposed what that group was, and they are nothing other than a Black nationalistic group, but they use Islam as a shield to cover their racist, radical, and nationalistic views. And the way that I get non-Muslims to understand that here in America, I tell them this: the Nation of Islam, they are to Muslims and to Islam what the Ku Klux Klan is to Christianity. And what Hitler is to Christianity. And so I said, so we know that that's outside the realms of what Jesus taught. I said, similarly, these people are outside the fold. I said, as a matter of fact, it's even considered heresy in our faith, what they believe in. Yeah.
So at that time, Malcolm X, was he already converted to like Orthodox Sunni Islam, or did you ever get to meet Malcolm X?
No. Malcolm X. I was a boy when Malcolm X was assassinated. So I never met Malcolm X. I met Muhammad Ali.
Tell me about that, brother.
Who was Malcolm X is the one who brought Muhammad Ali into Islam. Muhammad Ali walked into a lecture that Malcolm X was doing, and I forgot what city he was in. And after hearing Malcolm X one time, Muhammad Ali converted to Islam, but he converted to the Nation of Islam. So you have to understand that what the Nation of Islam was projecting to Black people at that time, it was palatable. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't difficult to digest that the white man was a devil and this, that, and the other, because conditions. Certainly they were doing devilish things. And so, but to package that to say this is what Islam teaches is a lie. Okay. But so this is what they were given to. So, Muhammad Ali met Malcolm, I believe in 1964. The latter part of 63, 64, just before he had the first fight against Sonny Liston. And so Muhammad was he loved Malcolm. And it was just him and Malcolm at that point. And Malcolm actually was like on his way out of the Nation of Islam at that time because of the statement that he had made about Kennedy being assassinated. And so Malcolm was traveling and he was exposed to Orthodox Islam and he wanted to make the exit. However, he was conflicted because he still had the loyalty and the allegiance to Elijah Muhammad, the leader. So, but anyway, him meeting Muhammad Ali, Muhammad became a practicing Muslim. And then, of course, he later abandoned Malcolm because the Nation of Islam, they kind of basically isolated Malcolm from Muhammad.
Yes.
And then they just had direct communication with him, with Elijah Muhammad. And so Malcolm was out. And Ali kind of turned his back on him. But I met Muhammad Ali the first time. I worked with Ali 4 different times in my capacity with working with ISNA.
Amazing.
But I met Ali in 1988 in Denver, Colorado. I was living in Colorado at that time, 1987, 1988. And I was a deputy sheriff with the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Department at that time. And I was attending the masjid in Aurora, Colorado. So all the brothers knew what I did for a living, and they wanted me to consult with them about security matters. Mm-hmm. And then I had a group of guys that worked with me, and we did the traffic control on Fridays at the masjid for the believers coming to the masjid and such. So anyway, they were planning a weekend event where Ali was the guest speaker. And they realized that they didn't have anyone to receive Ali and they didn't have a security detail. So they asked me if I would provide security for Muhammad. And I said, absolutely. Wow. So the Friday comes for Ali to, did you want me to get into the story?
Please do.
Or, okay. And so the Friday comes for Ali arrives. I go to the airport, we receive him, and we go straight to the masjid. So when we get to the masjid, before we get out of the limo, I said, so brother, this is the first time I ever met this man. So I was like, so brother, when we go into this mosque, there's about 1,300 Muslims in there. I said, and so after Jummah is over, let's sit towards the back so that way I can get you out of here. We can go to our next appointment. Yeah. And so I'm looking at, and he just looks at me. He's never acknowledges or anything. So anyway, we go into the masjid, and the masjid is packed. So Ali starts moving people to the side, and he's making his way to the front row. He gets to the front row. He's seated, and the khatib, he's an Egyptian graduate from Al Azhar. It even shocks him. He
recognized Muhammad Ali.
He recognizes Ali, and it throws him off his khutbah. So he continues. So Ali sits there, and I sit behind him. So we finish the salat. We do the salams. We finish the salat, and then everybody just converges on Ali. Everybody. He stands up, and people are hugging him and pulling on his clothes and grabbing him. And he was so accommodating. He hugged every brother that wanted a hug. He kissed every child that wanted to kiss. He took every picture, and every time I'm kind of pushing him and prodding him towards the exit of the masjid, And so we finally get to the front door of the masjid, and the doors open up, and I realize I don't even know where I need to take this brother. So I'm like, where are we going, champ? And so he's trying to tell me what's going on. And at that time, his disease, the Parkinson's, had just really started to take effect in him. And it wasn't as severe as it became, but it was kind of mild. And at that point, he still could talk, but he talked like at a whisper. And so he's telling me where we need to go. And I got a pen and a paper, and I'm trying to write this down. And he's like speaking to me in my ear. At that moment, there was a photographer from the Denver Post that took a picture.
Wow.
Of course, I knew nothing about it. And so anyway, we finish, and we're going to the limo. And just before I get into the limo, this reporter comes up and was like, who are you? What is your... So I give him my card. Anyway, so Ali and I, we proceed. We go to the event downtown Denver, and then I'm taking him back to his hotel room.